so yes, here we have Nightfall from Armored Core, and overall, I like this model much more than Steel Haze. I wasn't expecting that, honestly. I actually saw this model at the store first, and I could not find Steel Haze. I had to ask for them to find the model because it was like still in packaging, in the shipping boxes. And so for a little bit, I was kind of thinking I might just buy this one, which in some respects felt like settling, because I really think that the Steel Haze design is very unique, very cool. Ultimately, I got both, so we're, happy ending for that story. But now, having built Nightfall, I think this model is just overall it's a much more satisfying build than Steel Haze, and that has a lot to do, as I said before, with the very light frame of Steel Haze lending itself to being a very light kind of build. It just doesn't take much to do. Barely an inconvenience. We can see here with Steel Haze, for example, if we look at the legs, they're just very, very thin and spindly, and you do have to work with it and put together some parts. It's not nothing. It's not like an entry grade. There is like a fairly hefty build involved with this overall. But in comparison with Nightfall here, there's just much more going on. There's a lot of like kind of inner frame stuff, which is fairly simple. It's not like a fully detailed mechanical looking inner frame. It's really just intended to support everything else. But they do all of that, and the end result is a very satisfying, very, very chunky build that feels authentic to the game, while still being very posable, very playable. And I'm not really worrying about parts falling off. And if I shake this, if I pose it and manipulate it, look, like, well, shake test, nothing is falling off, nothing is flying off the handle, which is a problem with some kits. They, whether they be HG or what have you, or high grade or some master grades, there is the risk of some pieces falling off if it's a very fragile build. And likewise, as thin and light as this model looks, it's still also very solid as we shake it. Do a little shake test. Okay, ooh, we got some falling off. But for the most part, this was just the gun that was placed here on the back. For the most part, it's really, really good. But yeah, I think that of these two, the part that really kind of wins out for me is just how overall solid, how satisfying it looks and feels. Now, as I was building this, I did notice something that is kind of cool. If we look at some of these weapons, including this one, this is the pile bunker. It's called something else, but it's like in its folded up, unused state, right? And this here has no moving parts. It doesn't kind of mechanically transform. Instead, you do parts forming, as it's often called, and you just remove some of these parts, like the tip here. And the back of this, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that you have to remove the back. Or is it a matter of... Oh, there it goes. There it goes, there it goes. Yeah, there we go. And so now it's in its kind of like deployed state. The unfurled, which looks really, really cool, and it's very, very detailed. And I think that's a good solution in terms of keeping the part count down, keeping the complexity down, that you're simply swapping the parts out rather than having to engineer a whole mechanical folding and unfolding build, which would definitely keep the part count up and possibly the cost up and all of that, and the engineering. This is just a better solution overall, given the price point of this model. Now, and here's how it looks as it's attached to the hand. And of course, we can actually swap these out with one another, because that's a thing with the 30-minute missions line, is the sort of swappability of these parts. So let's try that. And so here is the blade. The name escapes me now, but it's like, again, an undeployed version of this weapon. And put that there. And then we can give this weapon to Steel Haze. How? We should be able to mount this. Ah, very good. Just like this. It does look like it's huge, right? It's just a huge weapon extending out from here. But yeah, so that's really neat. The way that they've set that up is that you're going to be able to easily swap out these weapons. But also, this is one of my favorite pieces of equipment in Armored Core 6. And the name escapes me, even though I just said it was my favorite, but it's effectively a rack. A rack that you can mount on the shoulder, as opposed to another shoulder-mounted weapon. You can simply have this mechanism to hold another weapon, whether it be a melee weapon or what have you, to then just, it's your Armored Core mech is going to then just grab it from the back and then use it and swap it out, right? And so you can, they've accounted for that. You can actually swap out all of these weapons, it seems, onto the back of the model. So let's try that. Let's give that a little test. Consume beverage. Thank you for that. We will consume beverage shortly. There we go. So once again, this is the undeployed state of the pile bunker. And we should be able to easily mount it on the back of this, because there's a little notch there, and there's the receiving end, and it should just fit like this. Big question mark. There it goes. Yeah, and that fits really snugly and securely, actually. So that's cool. It's one thing to account for the weapons to be mountable on the hands, like swapping between models. That seems fairly obvious, fairly easy to be able to do that. But for this one mounting mechanism, which is again just one of many options and weapons in the game itself, for them to account for the so many weapons to be able to mount it on the back like that, I think that's cool. And again, you see the same notch here for this long rifle for this model, and you can put it over there. So again, I think that's really neat. So again, in terms of mixing parts and everything, you can remove some of the shoulder mounted weapons and then place them onto a different model, and that's all pretty easy. It's just more pegs, right? So these are the songbirds, another weapon that I ended up using quite a lot. I didn't use this all that much. I forgot what this thing is, but I didn't use it in the game, I don't think. Yeah, so again, pretty easy to swap all of that, which was kind of part of the selling point in making the Armored Core 6 franchise, adapting it into 30-minute missions, right? And if we kind of go another step further, we can definitely mix up the heads. So let's take a look at that. Another nice thing about this model, the the Nightfall. God, keep on forgetting what it's called. Another nice thing about Nightfall is that it has an alternate head. You have this visor down version and a version of it with the visor like kind of slung on the back. And again, that's something where I think mechanically it should kind of like move out towards the back and then move over the head and then back down onto the eyes. But that would be just too much mechanical complexity for the scale of this model and the cost and the price point and all of that jazz. But yeah, so we can swap the head out very easily, and let's put the Nightfall head, or rather the Steel Haze head, onto Nightfall. Night Haze, Nightcap. And the arms, we can definitely swap out the arms. And I was doing a little bit of this off stream, and I thought it was actually pretty fun. I had a pretty fun time swapping out these parts because it's so easy to do, and once more kits start coming out, it's going to be just really fun and easy to customize and make your own Armored Core, even like exactly how you wanted it to look or how you made it look in the game. And so here we have the legs, and this is going to be an interesting point. We can swap them out at the hips so that you're taking out the entire leg, or you're not just taking the legs, you're taking the hips, and it's just a ball joint and socket, and that goes just like that. Night Haze. So there, we've been mixing and matching the pieces already. And I don't know if this looks better necessarily. It definitely looks like a mishmash of different things. If you were to sort of spray everything uniformly, steel ball. If you sprayed everything uniform, I think it would kind of look much more cohesive. And the same goes here. But something that was mentioned on the Discord was it might not be possible to swap out the pieces at the leg itself, where the leg connects to the hips. So now that is the big question. Let us see how all of that is going to work. Let's see, let's see. I'm thinking it's true that you might not be able to do that. Let's see. Mash them all together. Katamari Core. Oh, look at that. It actually does fit. So you can have one leg like a chicken and the other leg like normal. That's not something you can do in the game, by the way. You can't have like two different kinds of legs, left and right. But it is interesting. It is pretty cool. I don't think you can do that in the game. Could be wrong. But let's see. And the one leg is so much longer too. But yeah. There we have it. Night Haze and Steel Ball. Steel Fall, Steel Ball. And again, once more of these kits are coming out, I can imagine that it's just going to be really, really fun to mix and match, and not just the model kits themselves in terms of the mechs, but also the weapons, because I'm pretty sure that they're making more weapon packs. There's only one out so far. I don't have it. So you can imagine that there's going to be a lot more variety, and you're really going to be able to make the custom version that you want. And again, if you're going to get into painting, spray painting it, or airbrushing it and all that, to get it exactly how you liked it in the game. So I think overall, I've been very pleasantly surprised with this line, the Armored Core line. Fires of Rubicon from 30-minute missions from Bandai. And if you're someone that likes the game, and maybe you're not too crazy about Gunpla and model kits and Plamo, you might want to give these a shot because they're not that complex. And you should be able to put it together without too much struggles. I did have a few struggles, but that's a me problem. That's not a problem on the kit. And yeah, there are more coming out. I'm pretty sure that during one of the festivals, the model kit festivals that happened over the summer in Japan, they revealed at least one more, and I feel pretty confident in saying that there's going to be more than just one. There should be more possible. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with these kits. I think they look spiffy.